The main flying area at Walton is between two strip woodlands that run up the slope. So the walking from the car area involves walking past the other side of, when you're looking out in flight direction, the left hand strip. So I know there are no other paragliders out there flying. Nonetheless, you'll notice I'll be looking around and checking roughly every 30 seconds as I'm doing the layout. So Khalid, who did some training with me years ago, crossed to say hi and actually wish a happy new year, not just for 2007 but for 17 but for 2016 as well, because I didn't see him last year. And that's Dave Bicken that's just come along as well. Cora is with the predominantly grey glider with the red and white leading edge. So conditions apparently had been a wee bit fresher earlier on in Sorabo, but certainly dropped off a bit at the moment. So one of the key things here is that any time the pilot moves or the conditions have changed and a wing, even when it's bundled or partially folded, could catch the air, you want to be looking around, checking the airspace. Hence the good look round. And there I'm just waiting for the breeze, and there's enough breeze there just to pop the wing open and tidy it. Now this first clip actually doesn't involve any flying. It does get into the flying in a minute. But the first bit there, wing was a bit soft when it was up above, so what I did was to save the battery and save the memory file, or shut down the camera. Then did a few flights. Conditions were getting a bit closer to being top landable. The few flights that are missing from this video were landing maybe 50 feet down, so using the wing to jog up to the top. Never had to carry it up, but it wasn't worth filming. So at the moment what you'll see here is there's not that much control change of input. So if I've got some brakes on, I'm not moving the hands a great deal, but there's quite a lot of harness control, tiptoeing about, turning, so turn, step, and only if need be assist, just to balance the wing. And second, it feels too soft, dropping back. Now the main thing there, you saw me going back, actually forcing the wing more stalled, is that Alan's paraglider is just set down on the ground and it's currently about a metre downwind, so it's about a metre beyond my top surface. So when I dropped the wing there, I was deliberately forcing it into a bit more of a stall than I would usually with the harness, to keep it clear of the other equipment that's lying on the ground back there. So while you can see movements in the hand, it's relatively slow and progressive, and most of the control input is with the harness. And just dancing, tiptoeing away. Big advantage of having the wing up there if it's quite light conditions is you're getting a much more realistic view of what the airflow is doing than you would ever get at ground level, at head height, or with the wind meter. So again there, brakes to initiate a stall, zero brakes, and then just settling it down to park it just clear of where Alan's wing is. Okay, I think this is the point, yep, coming up to the point where I decided it wasn't worth keeping it filming just now. So shut down the camera, and then I think the next segment's probably about 15 minutes later, and most of the time I'd been doing short flights. There really wasn't much time standing about doing nothing that day, but I'm just waiting for the better conditions to make it worth filming. Now it's well worth watching in about 20 seconds what happens with the grey glider with the red leading edge. So one of the problems with folks when they're flying with BHBA clubs is they pick up a bunch of bad habits. And what we're about to see here is more of a committed launch. Also the brakes come on and just watch what happens. So a lot of brake to try and control the wing there rather than the harness. Pushing forward, thrust, thrust, thrust. As a result, dive. Now you get away with it on a nice easy site like this, but if you try that at some of the cliff sites, you can really be risking having an accident. So the key thing is to remember exactly where the wing must be for safe gliding flight, and it certainly isn't behind you. So the idea is when you launch, before you leave the ground, before you retract your undercarriage, the wing should be doing its job properly, which is not just to support you, but to pull you forwards against pilot drag, against the drag of the air on the pilot. So here, tiptoe, 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 and holding in a mush because I don't yet want to take off, but no surge and dive. Again, just holding there. So bearing in mind at the moment there's at least one glider out of camera shot to the left over the strip woodland and probably coming back across downwind. So I'm just picking my moments for takeoffs. That's probably why I'm cutting off to the right here. So we'll see in a minute if there's a glider comes into land. Working some passable lift. Let's see, I'm just touching down. Okay. So Khalid, the comp rated glider, black and white one, again just using the brakes, and you tend to see those massive frontals at takeoff, whereas if you're dancing with it with a harness, which isn't so easy on pod harnesses, it stops that happening. It looks like that's Tracy with the wing on the ground up near where the trees are in the background. They're actually quite a distance away, and Alan and Dave just chatting away, so I'm just having a wee play about with different areas of the lift. Now the earlier flights, the ones which weren't filmed, were over the strip woodland, which is, yep, here's Cole's wing coming back, so that's probably the main reason I was going off to the right to start with. So he'd be working the lift over the main strip woodland that we use, and in the meantime I've headed along to get the lift over the other trees on the far side. Again, yeah, quite a lot of brake to control rather than using the harness. Okay, so I'm coming back on the left beat here, using the right brake to yaw the wing round, a wee bit letting it dive, and then just a touch of brake, and staying facing flight direction to backtrack. But if you watch the ground speed, you'll notice I keep changing the ground speed just to balance the wing. There's not lots of brakes being applied. Wing's in a good position at the moment, above and in front. So before that takeoff, the wing was already above and in front of me. No surge and dive. Heavy wing warping lean to the right, and then a bit of brake to assist. Just carving along onto the right beat. Now again, getting to zero brakes, the red-yellow wing would have a better chance of controlling. There you want to be looking away from the wing, turning round rather than brake. Touchdown on the far side for me. Alan getting ready. Calls wings up. So we had a very nice flying day. We actually left about half an hour before sundown. It was starting to drop off. So sometimes there's really nice good lifts. Some of the guys were way out front and we were up high. Sometimes it was just lighter conditions, and again there's Alan. He's a lot of harness control, just a tiny touch of brakes, keeping it rolled onto the tip, and then you'll roll it level. There we go. Slow turn into forward. Good good look round, and then just tiptoeing forwards. So I'll be warping, leaning hard over. See the brake just coming on there, yawing it round and touch. Tracy's doing a nice job of using mainly the harness. Settle and surge, bounce out the wing. So that's Tracy there. Now it's tiptoe, 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 nice and smooth, no surge and dive. Only thing you've got to remember there is that if you do touch down and you've got reserve, you should recheck your reserve handle. Some very good, now trying to remember who it was. Yeah, Dave Bicken, very well spotted that one of the guys was flying later on, and he'd actually dislodged the reserve handle, so he gave him a shout. Some nice lift over the trees. Alan's left beating over the trees. Calls along being over the right trees. You really want to have a good look round, and that was a wee bit surged rather than ease up to high wall, let it settle, and then delicate bounce. Tiptoe, 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 risking frontals there, but just take it nice and slow and steady, let the wing do the work. Carving along, probably to fly behind on the downwind side. Should get good loud calls of launching, so folks are made aware. Again, that's one of the issues that pick up bad habits when folks are flying elsewhere. There's a definite thing that was mentioned is look around, check the airspace all the time. When we're flying some of the more technical stuff in front of the trees, there's a lot of guys were turning without really having had several looks behind them as they were flying past the trees. So they're looking and turning at the same time. Whereas on helmet cam footage, you'll see me constantly looking around, constantly refreshing the picture of where everybody is. So, just yawing it around very slightly, and touch. Flick round to cross, and recover the tip. Okay, so drop the wing in, go to switch to head cam. I've actually just been testing a walking pole, specifically bought, because it has a camera mount on the top of it. There's a couple of minor modifications I want to make to it. And one of the issues, even though I've run this through the video stabilisation, is the gentle waving. It's just stuck maybe about 3 inches into the grass hillside, and it could definitely do with a couple of guy lines and a couple of tent pegs, just enough to hopefully keep it from doing that gentle swaying. It's not that bad, but it's just enough to annoy you a wee bit when you're watching the video and everything's rock and rolling just very, very slightly. So, back viewfinder isn't switched on at the moment. So just commenting that's Dave and Alan and all the rest of them. Just a nice day in Scotland.